Hey guys, welcome back. We're over here at the FishLab Okuma booth. I got Dave and Bill. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. They probably don't need an introduction, but we got some cool baits we want to show you.
All right guys, we're here at ICAST. I'm here with Bill Siemendel, BBZ Baits, Big Bass Zone. He is the creator of a lot of these incredible baits. He's had hundreds of fish over 10 pounds on that largemouth side, monster smallies. This guy is known for big fish. But what he did for us over this last year on the FishLab side is create some incredible baits. We're talking a couple crankbaits, we're talking a huge rat, we're talking some of these Nature Series baits. But the one that we want to talk about, really cool bait, something super unique, is that heavy cover bird. Let's talk to Bill.
Hey guys, this is a really cool opportunity. When we sat down at the table, the science behind the strike with all the anglers over there at FishLab, we started talking about heavy cover flipping baits, and they were talking about creature baits. And the biggest thing for me is I just got tired of hearing creature bait. I think what happens is people get in this mindset of trying to make baits that are not realistic anymore. So we're trying to take the illusion factor away from baits now and go back to the realism part of making baits that fish are eating. So when we started looking at a heavy cover flipping bait, we turned around and we picked up regular punch baits, and they said, why don't we make something that actually means something? And a lot of anglers know, but they've never really put two and two together, is the amount of baby coots, the small ducks, the red-winged blackbirds, the sparrows. We're talking everywhere from west coast to east coast that anglers are fishing shallow water, heavy cover, and bass, smallmouth, largemouth, musky pike, everything out there are eating this type of forage. So what we wanted to do is start coming out and changing the word creature bait and getting back to the Nature Series with FishLab and giving these fish something that they're used to eating. And we started with this, and then while we're doing it, it was really cool because as fishermen and anglers, what you want to do is you want to find the guys that really have the passion and they want to be the student of the game, to go out there and take things to a new level. So when you're sitting down with Dave, he's an unbelievable salt freshwater fisherman, kayak fisherman. I fished BASS back in the day, tournaments now. Bennett is a guru at catching big fish across the spectrum. We go, what else is in that realm of heavy cover flipping and pitching that people are missing in the industry? And we turned around and we said, have you ever seen a true punching frog that actually has the right profile and shape that signatures the fish of going, hey, that's what we eat all the time? You have topwater frogs, but you don't have stuff to punch. And then we got right back into dragonflies and nymphs. So this whole series of baits, even down to the kick and craw, is what Nature Series and FishLab is trying to do, is bring realism back to the game, trying to match the hatch, and try to give anglers product that's gonna work, that gives them confidence, but actually represent what the fish are eating. So that's the biggest thing. I think we're really taking it to a new level.
Seems like an absolute no-brainer.
It is. It's one of those aha moments where people, especially when they see the flutter nymph, this was for pitching and heavy cover.
Right.
So when you're punching a bait like this, even with the 1.5 ounce tungsten, you have to go past the shoulders. And there's sometimes that you don't want to have to pitch a bait 20 feet in the air and shoot it through a hole that's the size of a dime. So when we built something like this, we wanted wings that actually go to corticus. You want them to go in the center of the core, so that has the smallest, thinnest profile to punch through. So you get to use lighter weight literally to get it through heavier cover, okay? But once you get it in there, hydrodynamically, these wings will lift up, and this thing comes alive, swimming to the bottom. And the biggest thing is flipping and pitching. A lot of anglers, from weekend anglers to the pro, you ever see them bring up a high stick and they get hit right before they pull it out?
Right.
Well, that means there are frogs, there are nymphs, there are mayflies, there are crawdads, the birds, everything's are underneath the mat. And these things swim and articulate and move up and create the profile of what's really going on down there.
Yeah.
And I think what the science of the strike is we're actually hitting signatures of what fish are seeing, what they're doing, what they're eating, and start getting away from the stuff that just say, oh, that kind of looks cool, or we're going to put a creature name to it. We're taking things to a whole new level.
Let's talk about that bird. You picked up the bird, you mentioned the bird.
Yes.
Josh walked over here and he said, oh my God, that's a bird.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the bird. Why a bird of all things?
Well, the weird part is fishing California and the Delta and fishing Bassmasters up and down the coast when I was doing it, you know how many times even catching topwater fish, you bring it in and they got a bird down the throat? And you sit there, and it's it's literally the aha moment where you're going, you know what? Man, they're eating bird. And guess what you do? You pick up something that looks nothing like a bird, and you throw it in the water. And the bite gets tougher as tournaments go on, or the day goes on. And when that gets really tough and they have to drop it down there and kind of like let it hang, or heavy drop shot, or a Tokyo rig, or anything else, they're missing the thing of what realism is all about. And once you leave that illusion bait and you go to realism, that means this thing is going to work more often, more times, more places. So when we're looking at, when you see baby coots on the water, when you see baby ducks, when you see blackbird, sparrows, and like what Dave was talking about, Aaron Martin's back in the day won a Delta tournament because of the birds around the Tules. Aaron was an unbelievable intuitive fisherman that saw things that a lot of other people did. And guess what? Nobody still came out with the bait that looked like a baby bird.
Interesting.
That you could punch and flip.
Now, what is that story anyway? Quickly, I guess, if you don't mind. Like, how did he win it? So he was observing birds fall from a tree?
From the Tules. So I think he was in Frank's track, and he started seeing baby blackbirds and red-winged blackbirds and stuff, and as they were getting closer to the water, the fish were blowing up on him.
That's great.
So he was onto something. He won the tournament. He did something that was incredible. But look at all the people in the industry that never put one and one together to create two, except now with the FishLab. And the cool thing about products like this, when you look at the amount of knowledge base that we have, Dave has 20, 30 years on, I have 20, 30, and we're all coming together to put something that's really cutting edge. And you hate to say that, it's kind of been overused, but when you look at baits like this and their functionality and their price point and the reason behind it, and we're bringing everybody together as a true team to give back to the new anglers and the grassroots and the youth and the pros. That separates us from a lot of other people out there. And that's pretty awesome in the short amount of time we've been out there.
That is awesome. Well, guys, that's pretty cool. The realism baits. If you want to hear or see more about them, FishLab?
FishLabTackle.com.
FishLabTackle.com. They're available now.
These are not available now.
Not
They're
yet.
going to be soon though. This is an ICAST introduction. This is the first chance anybody's got to see them. But hit it up in a couple of months here. I think we're looking at August, September. Right in there is going to start getting some of those first shipments come through. But check the website. Keep looking at the socials. You'll see me on the social. You'll see Bill on the social. We'll let you know for sure when they're going to come out. You're not going to miss it.
Yep, and there's other places too that are doing pre-sales.
Yeah, exactly.
So make sure you look at a lot of retailers in your local area, social media vendors and everything else, because get on the board, be the first ones out there, because you guys are going to have the most bang for the buck, when you get these.
Well, guys, I think it's pretty obvious. I even say, a lot of the lures that are for sale in today's market is to sell to the fishermen, not necessarily to help you catch fish. And the realism or the more realistic baits make sense. So check them out, FishLabTackle.com in a few months. Hey, you heard it and you've seen it here with Dave and Bill. Let's check out some more cool stuff.